Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Monday, January 13th, 2014. Our first article of the day is from InfoWars, and Met Police report corrupt Freemasons run the UK legal system. This is pretty intense and pretty sweeping. And it's a good article, but actually Alex is right now on his radio program talking about the Masonic influence, and he actually went back into some of the history of, we people say, oh, George Washington was a Mason. He dug into that a little bit and talked about how the Masons were taken over by the Illuminati, which is obviously an evil group with evil intentions. And so you might want to supplement reading this with Alex's, with a YouTube video that will come out probably later today, unless, of course, you're listening to him live at this moment, in which case it might just be helpful to read this article to supplement what you're hearing him say. And this is a YouTube video that came to my attention. It's not new. It's from almost a year ago. But just more information to help us all understand the deeper information about this, who these people are who are trying to play a risk game of world domination with all of us and our lives and the earth and our resources. Texe, Mars, Khazar DNA, and the Great Serpent. And this is almost 40 minutes, so definitely a time investment here, but probably well worth it. And another InfoWars article, China set to seize South China Sea Island by force. I'm curious about what Fulford will have to add to this topic. The Benjamin Fulford weekly blog is not out yet for this week. It typically comes out on Monday morning, so I'm guessing that he will have maybe a different perspective on this, but it'll definitely be interesting to find out what he has to contribute to the discussion. Beijing claims island illegally occupied by the Philippines. And this, Alex mentioning this morning as well, saying that, the cabal are desperate to begin World War III, and they may push on this and see if they can get this to develop into World War III. We just keep praying, just keep saying, peace be still in the name of Jesus, and wars cease in the name of Jesus, and of course stay in touch with Congress people and tell them that we do not want to enter a war over some foreign territory. And that worked, our expressing our opinion worked with Syria, and hopefully it can work in the future. And I'm not sure if this is absolutely related, but I had to wonder if China functions the way many other countries do. When they begin to get into economic difficulty, they go to war. And here from Zero Hedge, China's peer-to-peer lending bubble bursts as up to 90% of companies are expected to default. Now that is an issue, I would say, that they're entering into some choppy economic waters. And it's probably good to keep this in mind, keep a little bit of focus here, especially prayer focus, and be aware of what's going on in that part of the world. Here is something much more lighthearted, a suggestion as to how to stop the NSA. This is from RT. Ban supplying water to NSA so they can't cool servers. Hey! I think people were talking about that, and when they first opened the very large center in Utah, their computers were catching fire because they could not cool them adequately. And of course, that's not the kind of information that breaks on mainstream media, and they're not anxious to tell us at the NSA that their big center is a failure. So we're not hearing about that, but one has to wonder if that continues to go on. And yeah, it is that simple. Don't supply water to them. I mean, even the state, I'm guessing, could move on that. They require millions of gallons a day. And as water becomes more scarce, and there's a drought in the western part of the country right now, and who knows? I think this is tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, there is real potential here. If they don't have the water, they can't run their computers. How Congress Used Bridgegate to Sneak Through TPP Fast Track by David Icke. Now, as far as I've been able to determine, this fast track hasn't actually been approved by Congress. It may have gone through committee or something like that. But this is a great time to contact your Congress people, both Senate and House of Representatives. And EFF has a link that makes it very easy to do that, and that link is in the notes from our Saturday Pearls of Liberty, and you can find it there. And if you can, just take a few minutes to get in touch with your House of Reps people, your senators, and make some noise about this fast-tracking of treaties. It's a terrible idea. Anybody that is following this is aware that it is just a way to ram through TPP, even though TPP has widespread and vast objection and opposition from people like us. Here from WTF-RLY, which is a website that is new to me, Congress introduces Obama fast-track authority on global trade pacts like TPP. So here's just a little more information if you want to familiarize yourself with what is going on in Congress pertaining to this fast-tracking of treaties. And here from Alex Jones' show on Friday is a clip on YouTube, Tyranny Rising in America. And Alex had a guest who suggested that, obviously was talking about how Obama and the executive branch have overstepped their constitutional bounds. And the fact that the Congress is unwilling to impeach at this time, when there's clear evidence that could be a great foundation for impeachment proceedings. But this guest said that the one option that does exist, that is a way to shut down some of the overstep the bounds that the executive branch has done, is to file a lawsuit. And she suggested that in order to do that, one needs to have standing, needs to have been personally injured by the overstepping of the constitutional bounds by the executive. And I just, I pondered that for a few minutes and just thought, well, have there been victims of Obama's unconstitutional actions? And yes, there have. There have been thousands of victims in Mexico of Fast and Furious, and of course there were victims in Benghazi. And I'm hoping that maybe some of these people will file lawsuits. And pertaining to Benghazi, there are some congressmen who, and not just Benghazi, but other issues as well. There are a couple congressmen who are taking action to try to make a lawsuit work against Obama. Congressman Tom Rice's H-Res 442. Obviously, it's tough to miss the Tea Party fire ants when they are at work swarming. We have been splitting our swarms recently between two House resolutions. House Resolution 36 for a Benghazi Select Committee, and Rice's House Resolution 442, which in our opinion is a smart and straightforward move to cut through the BS and bring suit against the administration for relief against a number of Obama's presidential overreaches. It's smart, and the smart money says it can work. Here is a small swarm sample from last night to approximately 40 congressional House representatives. And then the article goes on. But if you want to learn more about H.R. 442, I have the information that is on congress.gov. The resolution H.Res. 442, 113th Congress, directing the House of Representatives to bring a civil action for declaratory or injunctive relief to challenge certain policies and actions taken by the executive branch. So there are congressmen who are working to chip away at this. And I think, it'd be great maybe to have some kind of a civil suit of people who have been injured by Obama overstepping his constitutional bounds. And certainly there are people who've been issued. And I'm guessing the thousands of Mexicans who were killed as a result of Fast and Furious would be some who would certainly have standing. And I just wanted to share this link because I was unaware of this until this morning, and it becomes more and more difficult on using searches, even through Start Page. I find it becomes more and more difficult to find what I'm really looking for, especially breaking news. Not that easy to find if it's something specific that I'm looking for. So as a result of a search I did this morning, I found this website, www.breakingnews.com. Now, I may be way behind the curve, and some of you may have been using this for some time, but this just has it's kind of like Twitter, only it's not. There are no personal ties. It's just news, breaking news. So I thought some of you might find that interesting, helpful. I was using it to find out what happened in Denver this morning. There was a hostage situation, and it has been resolved, and it wasn't on a large scale. It was just at a 7-Eleven, I think. And of course, I don't mean to make that too small. Obviously, it was very significant to the people who were involved in it, but doesn't look like any kind of a false flag or anything that might impact upon liberty and justice being released in the U.S. This could have an impact upon liberty and justice being released in larger measure in the U.S. Still Report 162, Ellen Brown for treasurer. And she's running for the treasurer of the state in California. She's running as a Green Party candidate, and she has been a very effective freedom fighter battling against central banks. She helped a state establish a central bank of the state, and there's potential for her to do that in California should she be elected. So if you happen to live in California, you certainly might want to learn more about this and hopefully see her elected as treasurer of the state of California. And I'm ending with this today as good news. It's Mercy Triumphs, and Fritz Springmeier wrote this article, An Overcomer Walking in Victory versus Being a New World Order Pawn. And Fritz has suggestions, practical suggestions in this article. He has a lot of background information. As always, Fritz is just a wealth, a treasure really, of both experience and wisdom gleaned by experience and knowledge. And he, in this article, has shared a lot of his information, a lot of his knowledge and wisdom, and it's just some encouragement here about how to stay free. And it reminds me of the lyric from Jewel: "No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from." And yeah, don't give your strength to these people. Don't give your life force to them. Avoid being a New World Order pawn. And you can learn about that from Fritz in this article. So with that, thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.